The artist formerly known as Kanye West, a.k.a. Ye.
Listen, I don't actually know him. I've never. I think I've spoken to him like FaceTime a couple times through other friends that knew him, whether it was Candace or Charlie Kirk, some of those guys years ago. I mean, clearly a genius. Clearly also like manic in his own way. So I'm trying to figure it out. I can't tell if some of this.
He at one point wanted to run for presidency too.
Oh, I know. People were doing the Trump West ticket.
Could that happen?
Hey, you never say
who's
never
the VP, man? We need a leak.
Yeah, I thought I saw some, you for VP.
I mean that could happen, but I'll be on the Don Jr. ticket in 2028. Let's get Ye on this one.
Really make heads explode.
Yeah, let's get Ye on this one. Well, I mean, obviously he's also been deplatforming, and he's came under a lot of fire for some of his words and things like this, and they've called him anti-Semitic. Do you think, and I don't know how closely, again, you haven't really met him.
I said, I don't know him that way. Listen, you hear some of the stuff you say, and I'm like, it's a little, it's a little much, and but then sometimes you just sort of be like, well, he's an artist in the moment, and there's this. So I don't know him well enough, and I don't honestly follow it enough to be like, okay, this is where his heart really is, and he's saying the quiet part out loud, and maybe he got, and he actually believes.
He's heavily against abortion. When he went on his pre-campaign, he started crying. He said he's not with it.
Yeah, no. Listen, and I appreciate probably what he did in terms of finding Jesus and some things, and I think maybe some of that conflicts with some of the other things he said.
So you're having a hard time figuring out where he really stands. Yeah. But he definitely from the African American community he took a great leap when he sat with your father in the Oval Office. I think a lot of people felt
I think that took balls, and you appreciate that. And then, but I think he also showed up to Mar-a-Lago and brought Nick Fuentes, who my father would have no idea who that is, but it's this alt-right kind of.
Yeah.
I'm you don't need to do that either, right? Because it's
true.
Then it's it's like I said earlier. My dad has no idea who that is, and it's like, oh. So that feels a little bit like an ambush, and that's not right either. You know what I mean? It's hard. I mean, as an artist, you appreciate what he is, and perhaps what he could have been. Maybe he could have gone down as one of the biggest ever, right?
No, he's one of the biggest ever. I think in business,
maybe
he could
harder
have done more.
now. The business side is going to be harder.
Yeah. The business side is going to be
I think he'll do great, almost irrespective. I think he'll always have a following, but it's hard to get to maybe the highest level without sort of the aid of the corporate world globally. And I think. At this point, they're looking at the calculus and saying, we can make a lot of money, but there's also a lot of risk that comes with it. And, and that's hard. I deal with that myself, being a Trump.
Do you see anyone out there, I think when Trump goes from The Apprentice to being a presidential candidate, I think people are like, this won't happen. But obviously that's for the highest, office in the land. Yeah. But there has been, Ernest Washington, he became governor. And do you ever foresee anyone that could ever do what your father have done, coming straight from a non-political background, straight from either business or a TV career and doing that?
I think yes. But I think a big part of the attack on my father is also by design to take those people who weren't part of the machine, who weren't part of the bureaucracy, and be like,
you sure you want to do this?
You sure you want to do this?
Okay.
We don't want a disruptor. We like the control that we have. We like the power we have. We'll tell you everything's all well and good. We'll make a lot of money in the process. We don't want someone who's going to come in and blow that shit up. And I think, not all, but, a big component of what they're trying to do to my father is about sending that message to, Elon's not born here, so he couldn't run for president. But, if you had another Elon, be like, hey, man, you got billions of dollars. Is it worth your while? You want to risk going to jail for 700 years because you really believe this, or you're better off just buying into what we say, donate some money to the Democrats and call it a day and live a nice, easy existence. I think that a lot of this is very much by design to make sure that no one comes in from the outside, or you don't get perhaps the best of the best coming in from the outside.
Yeah. We got one more question, the last question. And by the way, this has been an amazing broadcast. We've been going strong for over 2 hours. Unbeknownst to anyone, we've had 15,000 people on YouTube just consistently. We had 20,000